Hello everyone, you're welcome back to this channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you how to make a very unique and beautiful mermaid skirt, or what is being termed A-line skirt. So it's very easy, okay? So I'm going to take you through step by step on how you can get this achieved. So if this is what you're interested in, keep on watching and let's get started. Thanks. Welcome back. So the measurements needed for this tutorial are the length of your skirt, your waistline circumference, and the hip circumference. Okay, those are the measurements needed for this tutorial, this skirt. So right now we are going to start. Now the amount of fabric you to cut, or you have to cut, depends on how wide you want the down part, the base, to be. But in my own case, I will be using 18 inches. Okay, I will be using 18 inches for the width of this fabric. Now the length, I will be using 41. That is, the full length is 40 plus 1 inch hem allowance. So that gives me the total of 41. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, or I'm going to place it on fold for you to see. So as you can see right here, I've folded the fabric. Can you see? So I'll be working with the front pieces, or front panel. Okay, so it's on fold already. So the first thing I'm going to do right here, now I'm going to, the width, I told you that it totally depends on your choice. Now I actually said that I was going to use 18, but I have like 19 inches here, so I'll just use it like that. So I have 19 inches here. You could make yours 20, 22, even 25. Okay, it just depends on what you want. Okay, so right now the first thing I'm going to do right here is to mark my zero line. So this skirt is not going to have a band. Okay, so I'm going to mark 1 inch downward like this. Okay, so I also extend it to this other side and I mark 1 inch downward. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to connect these lines together using my ruler. So this zero line is going to be a guide for me. Okay, so I'm going to connect straight. Can you see? So this is my zero line. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to mark my reference line. So here automatically becomes my waistline. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my hip line. So the hip actually depends on, I will be making use of like 8 inches. 8 inches. So this 8 inches is not constant. Okay, if you are working with somebody that is very tall, then you can use like 9 inches. Okay, so but me, I will be making use of 8 inches. So I'm going to mark it 8 inches from this waistline. Okay, I have it here. So I'll also extend it. Then I mark the same 8 inches. Okay, so after marking these 8 inches, then I go ahead and mark my nail line. Now the length of this skirt is 40 inches. 40 divided by 2 gives me 20 inches. Okay, so that 20 inches is going to be on the nail, but in order to make it very free, I won't leave it like that. So you are going to subtract like 2 inches, at least 2 inches from the half of your full length. Okay, so 20 minus 2 will give me 18. Okay, you can even subtract between 2 or 2.5 inches. The reason is for you to be able to freely walk. Okay, that is the essence. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 18 inches. Okay, and this 18 inches is going to be my nail line. Okay, so I proceed. I mark 18 inches. So the next thing is to mark the full length, after which I add 1 inch to it, giving me the total of 41, like I said initially. So I'm going to proceed and mark the full length of 41. M allowance inclusive. So I'll go and mark it 41 downward. So as you can see right here, I went down to mark the full length. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now is to simply connect this line horizontally. So I'm going to connect these lines right now. So right now, having marked my reference lines, as you can see, this is the waistline, this is the hip line, while this is the knee line, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and impute my circumference. So I'll start with the waist circumference. Now the waist circumference for this is 28 inches, and 28 inches divided by 4. Someone may want to ask me, especially our beginners, that why am I dividing by 4? I need to divide by 4 because the front piece is 2 and the back piece will also be 2 pieces. So 2 plus 2 will give us 4. So that's just the reason why I'm dividing by 4. So 28 divided by 4 will give me 7 inches. So I'm going to mark it right here. Okay, this is 7 inches. So I'm going to add, because it's going to have a dart, I'm going to add that to it. So I'm going to mark 1 inch for my dart allowance. So here is it, 1 inch. So after that, then I go straight to the hip line. So the hip for this is 36 inches. 36 divided by 4 gives me 9 inches. So this is 9 inches, but because it's a front piece, so from that 9 inches, I'm going to remove 0.5 inch from it. So 9 minus 0.5 will give me 8.5. Okay, so I mark 8.5. Here is it. 8.5 is to go straight to the new line. This is the new line. Now, whatever, you don't need to bother yourself, okay? Whatever you have on the hip line, like in the case of this hip line, I have 8.5 inches. So I'm going to subtract just 1 inch. You could subtract 1.5, okay? All it's to make it free for you, so that, I mean, is to bring out the shape, okay? The shape. So instead of marking 8.5 here, I will subtract 1 inch from this 8.5. So 8.5, 8.5 minus 1 will give me 7.5. So I'll go ahead and mark 7.5 right on this new line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now is simply to, from this new line, I will just go ahead and connect straight to the full length, to the down part there. Okay, so, and before I do that, I will have, of course, I will have to impute my seam allowance. Okay, so I'll be adding the seam allowance of 1.25, or you could use 1 inch. Okay, so let me go ahead and mark 1.5 as my seam allowance. So on the waist, as you can see right here, I mark 1.5 seam allowance. Then on the hip, I mark 1.5. Okay, then on the waist, I mean on the knee line, I will also mark 1.5. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, I will just connect this to this, okay, to this, then this to this, to this, using my hip curve. Okay, if you are very perfect, you can use your free hand, but I will advise you, if you're a beginner, you use your hip curve. That will give you a perfect line. Okay, so I can now connect. So as you can see right here, I've connected the lines together from the upper part down to the base. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do right now, this is quite optional. You can decide to leave it like this, but in my own case, I want it a slight curve at the base. Okay, so I'm going to come up here by, you could come up by 1.5 and you could come up by 2 inches or even 2.5 inches, but in my own case, I will come up by 2 inches. Okay, so from here I'm coming up, can you see, by 2 inches. So from there I will just curve to the midpoint here. So you could use a curve tool to do that. So I'm basically using my hip curve to do that as well. Okay, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and cut this shape out. Okay, so after cutting this shape out, the next thing I'm going to do, because this skirt is going to have a lining or a facing, so I'm going to, and before I do that, I'm going to place this on another fabric, on this type of fabric, to cut the back pieces or the back piece. So I'll go ahead like I'm doing right now to cut, after which I place it on the fabric to cut the back piece. So you can see where I'm cutting from, not on this line but on this line. Okay, now as you can see here, I've placed the front piece on the fabric to cut out my back piece. Okay, now here is the space. This space is serving two purposes. One of the purposes is that it's serving for zipper allowance because it's going to have a zipper, and also the bump allowance, which I subtracted from the front hip line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and mark. So on this waistline, I'm going to mark 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance. Okay, you could make yours 1 inch, so it's not constant. Okay, so I'm going to mark 1.5 like I said for my zipper allowance, and here is it. Can you see? 1.5. So now on, sorry, this is the center back. Okay, this is the center back, and why this is the center front. Okay, so it is on the center back I'm going to impute my zipper, and that is why I'm making it here, not here. This is the side of the skirt. Okay, please take note of this. So now that I've marked 1.5 for my zipper allowance on the waistline, so I'm going to go, this is the hip line. So on this hip line, before I mark that 1.5 for the zipper, I will consider the 0.5 inch which I deducted from the hip line on the front panel, if you remember. So 36 divided by 4 gives me 9, but on the front I marked 8.5. So that 5 inch, 0.5 inch, I want to replace it right here. So on this hip line, I'm going to replace it back 0.5. Okay, here is it. Can you see? So after that, then I can now go ahead and mark my zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. So I have it right here. I hope you are getting it clearly. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go straight to the new line. This is the new line. What I'm going to impute here is just the zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. So I mark it. So I will go down to the base and also impute 1.5 inches. So you discover that it is only the hip line that is a bit bigger than the rest of the reference line. So I mark 1.5. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is simply connect these lines together. So I'm going to start from the waistline. Okay, so I'm going to connect to this line to this line. Okay, so I connect. Can you see? So after connecting, I will also connect from this point to the nail line. So after that, I will go downward and connect to the base, to the down part, okay? So after connecting the lines from the waistline down to the down part, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to impute my dart line. So this is the center front, okay? From this center front, I'm going to consider the bust span for this skirt, and the bust span is simply the distance between one nipple to the other, and in this case is 7.5 inches. So 7.5 divided by 2 will give me 3.75 inches. So from this center front, I'm going to mark that 3.75 inches. I'm going to add 0.5 to it, okay? So now 0.5 plus 3.75 will give me 4.25. So I'm going to mark 4.25 and I have it right here. Okay. So from there, I'm going to mark the length. For the front, you use 5 inches. For the back, you use 5.5 or even 6 inches. The front is 5 inches. So I'm marking 5 inches from the waistline. I mark 5 inches, okay? So as you can see, I've marked the dart length and even the dart leg, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is just to go ahead and trim this off. Okay, I'm going to cut this out. Then using this shape, I'm going to cut this out also, okay? So after cutting it out, the next thing I will go ahead and do is to notch the zipper at the waistline. So it is from the center back that I'm going to mark my dart line for the back piece, okay? So, so as you can see right here, I'm done with cutting. So the next thing I'm going to do, this place here, I'm going to notch. So it's going to be a guide for me, okay? So, and this is where um the dart width is going to start. So from here is I'm going to measure the dart width of 4.25 for the back piece. So this is going to serve as a guide for me, even to when I want to fix my zipper. So it's serving as a guide. So you have to know this so that you don't get confused, especially for beginners. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go to the next stage, the uniqueness of this mermaid scale. That is the stage we are to enter now, okay? So before I even go to the uniqueness of this mermaid skirt, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to take these pieces and lay it on my lining or facing and use it to cut my facing out. After that, then we proceed. Now as you can see right here, I've cut my facing. This is the front piece of this skirt and this is the facing, and also this is the back pieces, and I've also I went ahead to cut the facing. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and attach this facing to the main fabric. So I will first start by placing it on the right side, like this is the front. So I'm going to keep this back piece aside. So the front piece, here is the front piece. I'm going to lay it exactly on the right side. Here is the right side, okay? So I will start from the down part, okay? And this is the down part. So I'm going to go ahead right now and stitch starting from the down part, like I said, from one edge to the other. And that is what I will be doing to the back side. After that, then I turn it to the right side. Then I stitch it After stitching it, and I can now go ahead and fix my dart. I'm going to sew the dart also. So by the time I'm done with the lining, so I'll be right back. Okay, now here you can see I've stitched the lining to the main fabric, and this is the outcome. Okay, here is the front piece. Can you see? And this is the back pieces. Here is it. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and lay the front piece to this back piece. So I'm going to lay it properly in such a way that it doesn't shift here and there. So for me to secure it like that, so I'll have to use my pin to pin it down at the edge and even the side or even the edge so that it will lay very well. So after that, we can proceed to the next stage, okay? So as you can see right here, I've laid the front piece to on the back piece. This is the back pieces, and the space here is for the zipper allowance. Okay, this is the front piece, and I've laid it well. Okay, look at it. This is the waistline, and this is the down part. Okay, so the next thing I will be doing right now is to go ahead from this center front of the front piece. I'm going to consider the bust span here, and the bust span for this skirt is 7.5 inches. So 7.5 divided by 2 will give me 3.75 inches. So I'm going to add I'm going to add 0.5 inch to it. So 0.5 plus 3.75 will give me the total of 4.25. So from this center front of the front piece, I'm going to mark 4.5 4.25 inches. Look at it, here is it. So I'll go ahead and mark 4.25 inches. So I have it right here. So I have it here. Okay, so the next thing is to go to the down part also. So I'm going to proceed to the down part. Okay, from this same center front of I'm going to mark the same thing. 4.25 inches. I mark it inward, so I have it right here. So I have it here. Can you see the mark I've made? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to connect the line here to this line here. So I'm going to take my ruler and do the connection straight down. Okay, so I've connected the lines from this waistline down to the down part. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, from this very line, I'm going to mark 1 inch, 1 inch. So from this very mark line, I mark 1 inch. I have it here. So at the down part also, I'm going to mark 1 inch, and I have it here. So, and I will also connect. So I connect. I'm connecting from the down part to the upper part here. Can you see? So after connecting, I'm going to come to this side. From this same new line, I'm going to come down by half an inch. So I come down half an inch. Also from here, I come down half an inch. So right now, I'm going to create a curve, a slight curve there. Can you see the curve? So the next thing I'm going to do right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cut like this, tracing this line. I cut, then the curved line at the upper part here, then I come down here. So I'm going to remove this. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one here. So as you can see right here, I went ahead to cut it, tracing the line. As you can see, can you see? So the next thing is just to, this is what I've just removed. Here is it. This is what I've removed. And if I count this, you discover that it's 4. I have 4 here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means that the front pieces, the front piece is going to be 2. 2 of this stripe will be there. So by the time I open it, this is how it's going to look. Okay. So because I've pinned it down, so I'm going to remove the pin right now. Why I pin it was that I pin it so that I can get it secured. That's just the essence why I pin it down. So right now I'm going to remove the pin. So I will spread it out so that you can see. So here is it. So you can see I have 2 stripes here for me to fix. Okay. So also for the back, the back is 2 pieces already. Here is it. This is the first one, and this is the second one. And you see, so that is why I have the total to be 4. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to cut a cone shape, like a flare shape. Okay. Now this flare shape, it actually depends on how wide you want it to be. So in cutting the flare, it's going to be a normal process of cutting your 180-degree or flare. So I'm going to fold your fabric into 2. So I'm going to show you right now. Okay. So in cutting the replacement, so I'm going to fold my fabric. You can see I'm going to fold it into 2 like this. So you fold it into 2. Okay. After folding it into 2, then I will go ahead and refold it the second time. Okay. So I'm going to refold it like this. I'm going to hold this edge, so I refold it like this. So like I said it actually depends on how wide you want yours to be. Whichever length or whichever width you want it to be, the main thing is that you consider this base here. But before I do that, I will go ahead and measure the stripe which I removed. So that will be a guide for me in terms of the length of what I'm to cut. So I will go ahead right now. I'm going to measure what I have here. I will I will measure one of the stripes. So I measure. So I have about 22 inches right here. Okay. I have like 22 inches here. So this 22 inches, I'm going to add extra 2 inches. Okay. So 22 inches plus 2 inches will give me the total of 24 inches. So the length of what I'm going to cut right now is going to be 24 inches. Okay. So from this edge here is where I'm going to measure, start the measurement. So I'm going to measure from this tip here. So I measure 24 inches. 24 inches, and I have it right here. I have it here. So like I said, it depends on how wide you want it to be. But in my own case, because the fabric is not enough, so I will limit it to like the wideness to be like 9 inches or 8 inches. So let me go ahead and mark like 9 inches. Okay. So if I'm to mark 9 inches, it means I'm going to reduce it. So I'm going to reduce it to give me that 9 inches. I hope you have got how to cut the replacement. That is just it. So by the time I'm done, I'm going to show you what I eventually got. Okay. So I'll go ahead and measure the length 24 from here. Then I measure. So I have here 8 inches. It means I'm going to bring it forward. Okay. So I remeasure again, 24 inches. Let me go ahead and mark the measure the base until the base gives me the width which I want. Okay, so and in the process I will have to lay it very properly. Lay it very well. You make sure that it's not squeezed at the down part while you are doing this. So make sure it's well laid before you go ahead to cut. So now I have my 9 inches, as you can see right here. See, I have the 9 inches. So I'm going to remeasure again. This is 24 inches. Also on this part I will also measure 24 inches, and I have it right here. So all I need to do is just to connect these together. So I will go ahead using my free hand to connect. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and cut. After cutting it, you know it's going to give me 4 because this is 4 pieces. Then I will go ahead and cut it up, slash it to 4 pieces. So now that I've cut it out, now the next thing I'm going to do right now is this upper part here. I'm going to measure 1 inch downward. So I measure 1 inch downward on both sides, 1 inch. After that, I'm going to make a curve here. So I make a curve like this. Can you see? So the next thing right now is to go ahead and cut this side because it's going to give me 4 pieces. I'm going to open this one, and after that then I open this side so that I will have the 4 pieces. Okay, so right now I'm going to go ahead and make this slight curve here first. So I'm going to make a slight curve right here. So after that, then I'm going to open this side. So I'll go ahead and open this side and also this side. So as you can see right here, here is it. I've cut it out. I have my 4 pieces ready. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and place it on the on the facing, which is the lining, and cut it out. And I'm going to do it exactly the way I did the main skirt. After attaching the lining or sewing the lining to it, then I'll go ahead and fix it, replace it to the skirt. I want to believe that at this juncture you have found this tutorial very helpful. Like I said initially, if you have, please kindly give it a big thumbs up. Okay, please don't forget to share this video out as well. And if you are yet to subscribe this channel, please click on the subscribe button below and you hit on the notification bell. So you make sure always your notification bell is always on so that you get notified anytime I update a new video. Okay. All right, so far so good. I've come to the conclusion of this tutorial. Can you see how neat this skirt is? I hope you like this. Okay, and now you discover that it was because I have a shortage of fabric. That was why I decided to make it very little like this. It's not as wide as expected. So you could go ahead and make yours 180 degree or like 120 degree. Okay, but the wider it is, the better it will look. Okay, when it's full, it will look more beautiful than even this. Okay, but I want to believe that some prefer this. So I hope you have found this tutorial very helpful. Okay, now in the case of the dart is optional. Okay, I may decide not to put that in the, especially in the front part, is optional. It's quite optional, so it's not mandatory you put that in the front piece. Okay, because this is the front piece. Okay, so take note of that. Now I really want to appreciate you for taking your time to watch this video. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. If you are yet to subscribe this channel, why can't you join this great family by clicking on the subscribe button below, and you also click on the notification bell so that you get notified for new updates. So I really want to appreciate you once again. So bye till I come your way again. Thanks for watching.